Looking for magic cards? At flipsidegaming.com you can now use the promo code LVD to get a 10% discount on orders over $10 while supporting the channel at the same time. Hello and welcome to another episode of Friendly Friday, a weekly series where we take a look at budget, standard or modern decks, and this week we're taking a look at Treasure Hunt in Modern, one of the cheapest decks you can possibly build and still win some games with it in Modern. So how does this deck work? Well, as you can see, the deck is running 54 lands, which is a lot, but there's a reason for that, and that is Treasure Hunt, a 2-mana sorcery that reads: reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card, then put all cards revealed this way into your hand, so that also includes all the lands you revealed, which means that if you reveal 20 or 30 lands before finding a non-land card, you get to put all those lands into your hand together with that one non-land card. And that's exactly where we want all those cards to be, because then we can play out a Zombie Infestation and discard 2 cards to make a 2/2 zombie creature token, which means that if you can discard 20 cards, you can make 10 2/2 zombie tokens, which is enough to kill the opponent in one big attack. So the third piece of the puzzle to make all this work is a Reliquary Tower, which is a land that says you have no maximum hand size, which is very important because you don't want to be discarding any cards to your hand size limit. So how does a typical opening hand need to look like to pull off this combo? Well, you definitely need a Treasure Hunt in your opening hand, otherwise you can't get anything to work. So you do need to mulligan until you find a Treasure Hunt in your opening hand. So once you do have a Treasure Hunt in your opener, you need to check if you also have a Reliquary Tower. If you do, then you can run out Reliquary Tower on turn 1, and then on turn 2 cast a very big Treasure Hunt, which is going to either find you another Treasure Hunt or a Zombie Infestation. If you find another Treasure Hunt, then you can just do that over again on the following turn until you can find a Zombie Infestation. Then you can deploy Zombie Infestation, and if you have enough cards in hand to make an adequate number of zombie tokens to kill the opponent with, then you can just go for it. Important to note is that you can activate Zombie Infestation at instant speed, which means that you can play around sorcery speed sweeper effects, which is very relevant. There are also other builds out there that use cards like Lightning Storm or Seismic Assault or even Conflagrate as their win condition to go with Treasure Hunt, and then they might have Zombie Infestation in their sideboard once people start boarding in ley lines to prevent those cards from killing them. Since we are on a budget, we can't really afford to play a 3-color mana base that supports those red cards in the main deck and then Zombie Infestation in the sideboard. Instead, we're just running Zombie Infestation as our only win condition, which does expose it to some more weaknesses, but it does keep the deck very affordable. But what happens if you don't have Reliquary Tower in your opening hand? Then you simply need to play things one turn slower. So instead of running out Treasure Hunt on turn 2, you need to wait until turn 3 with running out Treasure Hunt. And also make sure not to play out your third land yet. Then on the third turn, you can play out Treasure Hunt, hopefully find a Reliquary Tower among all the lands you draw, and then play out the Reliquary Tower as your third land drop, and then on turn 4 you can either cast more Treasure Hunts or play out Zombie Infestation and go for the kill. So that's the basic premise of the deck. Now let's take a look at the various lands that we're playing besides our 4 copies of Reliquary Tower. We also have 4 copies of Bojuka Bog, which is a land that enters the battlefield tapped, but when it does enter the battlefield you get to exile a graveyard from the opponent, which is very relevant against various decks in the format. Then you also get to play with 4 copies of Gemstone Cavern, which is a pretty unusual land, which says if Gemstone Cavern is in your opening hand and you're not on the play, you can begin the game with Gemstone Cavern on the battlefield with a luck counter on it, and if you do, exile a card from your hand as an additional cost basically. So this means that if you're on the draw and have a Gemstone Caverns in your hand, you get to start the game with a land in play, which is very valuable, as you'll be able to maybe cast a Treasure Hunt on turn 1 already, which of course speeds things up significantly, and otherwise Gemstone Caverns just taps for colorless mana. Then we have 4 copies of Halimar Depths, which adds a little bit of card selection to the deck. So the Depths enters the battlefield tapped, but when it does you get to take a look at the top 3 cards of your library and rearrange them in any order. So Halimar Depths obviously would be a lot better in a deck with a lot of fetch lands, since then you get to shuffle away any unwanted cards. But in this deck, Halimar Depths still has a little bit of value, since it helps you set up your treasure hunts so that you can draw any non-land card that's on top of your library, and that way when you cast your treasure hunt, at least you're not going to reveal a non-land card right away, and you're more likely to find more lands with it, which is what you want. Then of course we have a lot of basic lands. We've got 20 islands and 14 swamps, And then another important addition from Eldritch Moon is Nephalia Academy, which is another land with an interesting ability that says, if a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard a card, you may reveal that card instead and put it on top of your library instead of putting it anywhere else. So this is very nice against discard effects, since of course if you heavily rely on your treasure hunt being in your opening hand and your opponent just thought seizes you on turn 1 or 2, then you're in trouble. But instead, if you have Nephalia Academy in play, then you can simply put that treasure hunt right back on top of your library. Then the sideboard has some more value lands. We've got some land destruction in 3 copies of Field of Ruin and 4 copies of Ghost Quarter, and then we also have some life gain in the form of 4 copies of Radiant Fountain, which gains 2 life when it enters the battlefield, as well as 2 copies of Kabira Crossroads, which is just a worse Radiant Fountain in this deck since it enters the battlefield tapped and also gains 2 life. And we also have 2 copies of Khalni Garden, which makes an 0/1 plant token when it enters the battlefield that we can use to chum block with. So that's the deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Alright, we're on the draw, no treasure hunt in hand, so we'll go to 6. And there we go, perfect. We even already have a Zombie Infestation in hand. Don't have Reliquary Tower, so we do need to slow play it a little bit. Island can go on the bottom. Let's see what we're up against. Mountain. No 1-drop. Nephalia Academy, so red deck is not super likely to have discard on turn 2 all of a sudden, but I guess there's no real downside to playing out the Nephalia Academy here. So we'll do it. And then turn 2, we can play out the Zombie Infestation if we think our opponent can't deal with it. And there we see a Valakut, so we are up against Scapeshift, which should not have any main deck answers to a Zombie Infestation. So that means we get to play out the Zombie Infestation here. And then next turn, play out the treasure hunt, and then make zombies right away, since we're not afraid of any sweeper effects main deck from the opponent. I guess they could have an Anger of the Gods, but that's not super likely. Opponent's just gonna bolt us to 17. Which has a Magma Jet, so they might not be a Valakut deck after all, but maybe just a burn deck. So by playing out the Nephalia Academy instead of an island, now we can't make 2 zombies without having to discard the island. That's actually relevant here. So we're just gonna make 1 zombie, discarding the caverns and I guess the swamp. So we'll untap, find another Bojuka Bog. So let's attack for 2. Still don't think our opponent has any sweepers, so it should be safe to go for the treasure hunt play here. Now we're in the spot where we can't save up all the cards in hand until end of turn to make all those zombies, because now we just have to make those zombies right away. Otherwise we have to discard to hand size. So let's make a bunch of zombies, which should be lethal next turn. And then I guess we can keep 7 cards in hand. Alright, let's pause a turn, discard 1 card here, and hope our opponent doesn't have a sweeper effect. Otherwise we have to do it all over again next turn. Alright, we got there. So against the burn deck we definitely want our Radiant Fountains and our Crossroads. We did not see any creatures from the opponent, so I'm not sure that we want the Khalni Gardens. We also saw Valakuts, but I don't think it's gonna come down to Valakuts killing us, so I don't think we need these Ghost Quarters or Field of Ruin. So what do we take out? So can definitely take out our Nephalia Academies, since we don't expect any discard from the opponent. And then we can shave on some Bojuka Bogs, since our opponent should not rely on the graveyard too much. And hope to have a treasure hunt in the opener, and we do, perfect, even the Reliquary Tower on turn 1. So things are looking good here. Also, if you're on a play, you can pretty safely take out those Gemstone Caverns and replace them with Radiant Fountains, but now we're on the draw, so we definitely want to keep them. Another treasure hunt, so let's run out the tower, say go. I guess we could have also played the island first to play around potential land destruction from the opponent. Doesn't strike me as a deck running too much land destruction. Desperate Ritual, is this a Blood Moon? It is. Well, that's actually a little annoying, since that shuts off our Reliquary Tower. That puts us in kind of an awkward spot, so we kind of need to have our Zombie Infestation in play before playing out Treasure Hunt. So I think we just have to say go here, and then wait until we have 4 mana. Ensnaring Bridge, well, that does complicate things, since now our zombies might not be able to attack. So yeah, let's take a draw step, another Reliquary Tower. Yeah, I think we're pretty locked out of the game at this point. If our opponent can play out their hand, yeah, we might as well play it out here. Got nothing better to do. And alright, there's a Zombie Infestation. So let's play out a Swamp and say go. And then we have to discard to hand size here. So let's discard a bunch of lands. So can the opponent play out their hand here? Hopefully they just have a bunch of expensive cards. Magma Jet. So our opponent still has 3 cards in hand, which is interesting. So here we can actually play out the Zombie Infestation, play out Treasure Hunt, hope they don't have a sweeper, make a ton of zombies, and hope they can't play out their hand. I think that's the play here, so let's Treasure Hunt, run out the Infestation, and we can only make 7 zombies here, so we don't even have lethal in 1 turn. So it's very unlikely that we manage to win this one. Our opponent needs to be stuck with 3 cards in hand for 2 consecutive turns. So only if their hand is all 3 drops do we have a chance. And we'll make 1 more. And then we can keep the rest in hand for now. Magus of the Moon, that's fine. So our 2/2s will be able to attack here, and end of turn we'll make a bunch more zombies. It's probably worth it to keep the Treasure Hunt here. I think that increases our chances if our opponent does have some removal spells. So let's go to combat, because we do need to attack for 2 turns here anyway, so we might as well keep the Treasure Hunt to make more zombies as insurance. Alright, and then we'll Treasure Hunt again. And we'll make some more zombies. Alright, we'll pass the turn and hope our opponent can't play out their hand or doesn't have a sweeper. There's a Coth of the Hammer, which can make red mana, which is going to help our opponent play out their hand here, unfortunately. And there's an Ensnaring Bridge. So we have no way of attacking with our zombies, so we don't have any outs at this point, unfortunately. So we'll go ahead and concede. So now that we have a better idea what our opponent is up to, do we want to change anything? So I think we just keep as is. I guess we could have replaced those Gemstone Caverns with other utility lands, but it's probably not going to matter. I would like to be on a play. With this hand, unfortunately, we have to mulligan. And this is a keep. And put that on the bottom. Alright, so let's lead with... So if we go turn 2 Infestation, turn 3 we can Treasure Hunt and make zombies right away. And that means I think we need to run out the island here. Because that way, if we do find a Reliquary Tower with our Treasure Hunt, we can play around Sorcery Speed Sweeper effects from the opponent. So they lead with a Valakut, another Radiant Fountain. Would like to get these Radiant Fountains out before our opponent plays a Blood Moon. But since our opponent's gonna lock us out with the bridge anyways, I don't think the life gain really matters in this matchup. Does our opponent have a Ritual into a lock piece? Pyretic Ritual, opponent up to 3 mana. And there's Ensnaring Bridge, so we do need to win as soon as possible here. So end of turn we can make 1 zombie by discarding 2 lands, I guess we do. Find a swamp, so let's run out Treasure Hunt and hope for the best. Well, that's a pretty weak Treasure Hunt, unfortunately. So let's get in for 2. So I don't even know if we want to run out a land at this point. We get an extra zombie by not playing out a land. So I think we just make a zombie instead of having to discard a card to hand size. And pass a turn. Opponent's got 6 cards in hand, so that's quite a lot. So Ensnaring Bridge far from active. There's a Koth with a Simian Spirit Guide exiled, so never mind, our opponent might just be able to play out their hand here. They're just gonna animate a mountain. End of turn, we'll make some more zombies. Untap, find an island, so let's start with playing out Treasure Hunt. Also pretty weak Treasure Hunt. So we've got 4 zombies in play, which means we can deal 8 damage. We can make exactly 5 zombies with the cards in hand, but the problem is that we can't really play around the sweeper effect anyways. So I think we do attack Koth here, since that might make it so our opponent can't play out their entire hand. So we'll send 3 zombies at Koth and 1 at our opponent. If we did have a Reliquary Tower in play, things would be different, since then we could potentially afford to play around the sweeper effect. We don't have that luxury, so we're just gonna discard some more cards so we don't have to discard those to hand size. And pause the turn. Opponent does have land number 4. Can they empty their hand? They have a Boil, destroy all islands. Yeah, that's fine. Is their last card a Spirit Guide? So let's make some more zombies end of turn. Alright, let's untap and move to combat and see if this works. Alright, this works, awesome. So we managed to beat an Ensnaring Bridge deck, which is not an easy feat for our deck. So on to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw, and this is an easy keep with Treasure Hunt and Zombie Infestation, and we even get to lead with a Gemstone Caverns with a luck counter, so our hand pretty much perfect here. So let's exile a swamp, so now our Gemstone Caverns also makes blue mana, which is important in combination with Reliquary Tower and Treasure Hunt. Alright, their opponent did nothing on turn 1, they might maybe be confused with this Gemstone Caverns that's in play. But we're just going to Treasure Hunt with Reliquary Tower in play on turn 1. And yep, that's a pretty good hit. So let's pause the turn. Next turn we can play out Zombie Infestation and make 8 zombies. So not quite enough for 1 lethal attack, but should be able to do it in 2 turns. Our opponent might be a little confused at this point as they neglected to play out a land on turn 1. And Delver of Secrets is certainly beatable, so let's run out Zombie Infestation and pause the turn. And then we can make 8 zombies end of turn if we want to, or maybe 7 and keep a Treasure Hunt in hand as insurance. And Delver of Secrets does not transform, there's a Scalding Tarn. So how does our opponent get out of this? They basically need a sweeper effect, so end of turn we'll start making some zombies. Alright, let's untap and move to combat and see if our opponent has any responses here. He's gonna take 14 down to 6, and I think we do cast our Treasure Hunt here. Opponent might have a counterspell for it, but they also need a sweeper still. There's a Spell Snare, so that's a good one to know about for the next game. So we can make 1 more zombie end of turn here. Opponent gets a Steam Vents. Do they have a sweeper effect is the question. Engineered Explosives would do it, but they probably don't run that main deck. Alright, on to sideboarding. So this is going to be tough as our opponent has access to counterspells for our Treasure Hunt. So do we want to change anything? Opponent could have access to black mana for discards, so I don't think we take out the Nephalia Academy just yet. We will be on the draw, so keeping in the Caverns makes sense. So I don't think we want to change anything. Bojuka Bog also helps against Snapcaster Mage, so we'll just keep it as is. We do have a hand with Gemstone Caverns on the draw, but no Treasure Hunt, so we'll go to 6. Go to 5. Go to 4. Go to 3. And yeah, we'll keep. And Gemstone Caverns will not be in our opening hand, so we might as well put it on the bottom. And now we have to hope our opponent doesn't have hand disruption or counter spells here. If they do, then we probably lose on the spot. Alright, Nephalia Academy helps against one part of that combo, which is discard spells. Now we basically have to hope our opponent taps out for a threat. which is unlikely, but you never know. We also don't have Reliquary Tower, so even running out Treasure Hunt turn 2 might not be the best idea. They're just saying go with 2 mana. Well, there's the Reliquary Tower. Let's play out our island, say go. And hope our opponent makes a move that allows us to sneak in this Treasure Hunt. Opponent just passing. So we could just play lands and try to play around a mana leak effect from the opponent, which a Delver deck might easily run. So I think I'm okay with waiting a few more turns here, just playing out the Reliquary Tower and saying go. And wait until we can at least pay for mana leak. And while the opponent isn't pressuring us, it just buys us more time to find more copies of Treasure Hunt potentially. So let's play island, say go. And maybe next turn we'll go for it. But as long as the opponent isn't doing anything, we're not under too much pressure to do anything ourselves. Kolaghan's command makes us discard. We'll discard Gemstone Caverns. If our opponent has Snapcaster, Kolaghan's, that's fine. I think we just go for it here. So let's play out Swamp. Now we can pay for mana leak. Play out Treasure Hunt and see what happens. And there's a mana leak, so we will pay 3. And do they have a second one? Alright, they do. That's unfortunate. So Treasure Hunt gets countered, so now we're just waiting for our opponent to kill us basically. But if we do manage to find another copy of Treasure Hunt before our opponent kills us, maybe we still have a shot. So I'm not gonna concede quite yet. Opponent's got 2 cards left in hand. And I think we just say go here. The reason not to play out lands is if our opponent has more Kolaghan's command and we're empty-handed, then they can make us discard Treasure Hunt even if we draw it during our draw step. And there's Snapcaster Kolaghan's. Alright, let's pause the turn once again. Another reason not to play out our lands is that if we just draw a Zombie Infestation, we can at least make some zombie tokens. So we're at 11. Opponent's still got 3 cards in hand. So yeah, this seems like a pretty bad matchup. Our opponent having access to counter spells and maybe even discard spells means that our plan of casting Treasure Hunt is not always going to work. But perhaps if we're on the play and our opponent keeps a weak hand, we might be able to sneak one through. So we're at 9. This looks like a Tasigur being cast, yep. Opponent leaves Leak and Bolt in the graveyard. So next turn we're dead if we don't find anything. Let's take a look at the Halimar Depths just out of curiosity. Alright, we were actually gonna find a Treasure Hunt next turn. So let's concede and move on to the next one. Alright, so do we want to change anything? So now the caverns definitely come out. And we can replace those with, I think, Radiant Fountain. I could see an argument for Khalni Garden, since if that blocks a Tasigur, that's more than gaining 4 life. I think I like our other utility lands more though. So I think we'll keep it as is, just with the change of Fountain over Caverns. Alright, so we are on the play, and that's not a keep. That's not a keep either. Let's see for opponent mulligans. They're thinking pretty hard about it, so they might not have interaction for our combo, as they also go to 6. Opponent capped 6, so they might already have found a counterspell. So is a hand with Halimar Depths better than going to 2? Maybe it is. We basically get 3 looks plus a scry, so Bojuka Bog goes on the bottom. And this hand's actually also pretty good against a discard spell from the opponent, since if they try and make us discard turn 1 and we manage to put it on top with the Halimar Depths, then things are good. So let's lead with the Depths and see what's going on. Fortunately, don't find what we needed here. So we do want to draw the Reliquary Tower, put that on top. So our best hope is that our opponent casts a Thought Scour targeting us, maybe thinking that they can mill the Treasure Hunt that we kept on top, but that's pretty unlikely. So we did manage to find treasure hunt in the first 2 games. Their opponents didn't have an answer the first game, they did have an answer the second game. And who are they targeting with Thought Scour? They're targeting us, awesome. So that's what we wanted. And in the third game we did not find a treasure hunt yet. So I don't think we want to play out the Bojuka Bog quite yet, so let's run out Swamp. So our opponent basically gave us 2 free draw steps. Of course, they did have good reason to target us with the Thought Scour, but that is what we wanted here. So ideally they Thought Seize us here, miss, and then we top deck treasure hunt, but looks like that's not gonna happen. So they run out a Delver, which means they have some early pressure going on. And well, there's treasure hunt. So I think we go for it. If they have Spell Snare, GG, but otherwise we might have a shot. And alright, that works. And we get to play out Reliquary Tower. Awesome. I don't think we could play out the Nephalia Academy there, since we really need the effect from the Reliquary Tower here. And we do have a game here, because now if we do draw Zombie Infestation at some point, we can win the game. Even if they counter this treasure hunt. Bolt at our face, that's fine. We have plenty of Radiant Fountains to fight lightning bolts. Delver reveals Anger of the Gods, that's a good one to know about, so our opponent has a sorcery speed sweeper here. So down to 14 we go. Alright, so we drew a swamp, so let's just double check that we don't have any actual spells in hand. I think we just lead with Treasure Hunt. That could run into a mana leak from the opponent. So if we want to play around mana leak, we have to wait 2 more turns. So do we want to give our opponent 2 more turns is a question. I think that might be fine here. So I think we lead with Bojuka Bog. That way if our opponent has a Snapcaster, they might be tempted to play that out. So let's target our opponent. Exile their graveyard. That works. And I think we just pass a turn here. And then next turn run out the Treasure Hunt. We will take some damage from this Aberration. But again, we do have Radiant Fountain to buy 2 life at least. So I think it's worth it to wait here, given that we saw those mana leaks in the previous game. And our opponent kept the hand after all that presumably had some interaction. Alright, so we drew a land. Yeah, I think we just go for it here. If our opponent has a remand, then maybe we want to play out the island. But we do have to play a land before playing Treasure Hunt to play around mana leak. So I think we just go for the island here, given that we only have the 1 Radiant Fountain. Play out Treasure Hunt and see what happens. Alright, that works. And we found another Treasure Hunt. We can wait 1 more turn to again play around mana leak, since we haven't found our win condition yet. And I think we do now that we have a million Radiant Fountains. So let's just pass a turn. This Delver is essentially just hitting us for 1 each turn. And there's a Kolaghan's command, we'll discard a swamp. So Delver puts us to 6. So if our opponent has a mountain into double bolt, I guess we're dead. But these Radiant Fountains should do a good job of stemming the bleeding a little bit. Tap Blood Crypt, we still know of that Anger of the Gods in our opponent's hand. And alright, more Radiant Fountains, that's always good. So let's lead with Radiant Fountain. Gain 2 back up to 8. And run out a Treasure Hunt. And find another Treasure Hunt. So do we run that into a mana leak now is the question. I think we don't still, because if this gets countered we still don't have a way to win. So I think we just say go. So these Radiant Fountains are really what's keeping us alive at this point. And there's a Creeping Tar Pit, which does change things since our opponent's threatening to attack us for 6. So main phase, find Halimar Depths, so we do have to play out Radiant Fountain, otherwise we're dead. So let's lead with playing out Treasure Hunts, which finally finds our Zombie Infestation. So now we can play out Radiant Fountain, and now we have enough lands to still play around Mana Leak and play out the Infestation. So let's hope this works. It does. Alright, so now we have to hope our opponent can't burn us out here. Alright, no bolt end of turn. And we are able to make 13 zombies end of turn, which is enough to kill our opponents in 1 hit. Tar Pit gets activated, but our opponent didn't leave up red mana, so they might not be able to burn us out. Opponent hits us for 6, down to 1. Can't block the Tar Pit or the Aberration, so that works. And end of turn, we'll make a ton of zombies. And we will play around Fatal Push, killing one of our zombies. So mulligans to 3, I think. Opponent Thought Scoured us. If they didn't, we would never have won this game. Alright, and our opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes. So this game could not have been closer. I wonder if they had Mana Leak in hand. But yeah, on to the next one. No treasure hunt, so we'll go down to 6. No treasure hunt, so we'll go down to 5. No treasure hunt, so we'll go down to 4. No treasure hunt, so we'll go down to 3. No treasure hunt, so we'll go down to 2. No treasure hunt, so we'll go down to 1. And I guess we'll keep this one. Swamp on the bottom. And let's see what we're up against. Shrieking Affliction, so this is the rack. And we start off with 1 card in hand against Shrieking Affliction. That's gonna be an uphill battle to say the least. So we take 3 from Shrieking Affliction down to 17, play out Halimar Depths, see what's on top. Well, there's a Zombie Infestation and 2 islands, so I think we might as well concede here since we're gonna take 9 damage before we can do anything, so we know what we're up against at the very least. We're up against 8 rack, so they're gonna have a lot of discard, which means Nephalia Academy is gonna be useful. We'll be on the play, so we can take out Gemstone Caverns and replace those with something more useful like this Radiant Fountain. And I think that's about it, so we'll submit. I guess we could have considered Ghost Quarter or Field of Ruin since the opponent might run Mutavault. Go to 6. Well, this is a keep, but of course our opponent will have plenty of discard to take away this treasure hunt, so we're not even guaranteed to have access to it. I think we keep the Reliquary Tower on top. Now, if by some miracle we do manage to resolve this treasure hunt, then our opponent will not be able to deal us a lot of damage with those 8 rack effects. So do they have turn 1 discard? And is it targeted discard? No, it's a Shrieking Affliction. So we might be able to do it here. We just might. Let's run out Reliquary Tower, run out Treasure Hunt, and hope to find a lot of lands here. Alright, we do. 24 cards in hand, so that Shrieking Affliction is gonna take a while before it does anything useful. But if our opponent has targeted discard for the Zombie Infestation, then of course they will be able to take that away, and the game might take a while. Waste not, that's acceptable. So we will be able to run out our Zombie Infestation here and make lots and lots of zombies, which should be able to kill our opponent in 1 attack. So Swamp into Zombie Infestation, pass the turn, and even if they have an Ensnaring Bridge here, they will not be able to empty their hand fast enough. So let's pass it back. So if we discard a land, our opponent can make 2 black mana. If we discard a non-creature card, then our opponent gets to draw a card. So now the question is, are they running Ensnaring Bridge? Because if they are, and we discard a bunch of lands, then they can maybe empty their hand. Opponent's gonna take a look at our hand. It's gonna take away our treasure hunts. It's gonna draw a card from Waste Not, but end of turn we'll still be able to make 11 zombies, which is hopefully enough to win the game. And alright, so our opponent, being a good guy, doesn't make us go through it. So we do manage to win game 2 against a discard deck, which is pretty funny. So let's bring back in our Gemstone Caverns. And let's see. I guess Bojuka Bog isn't all that great. It does stop the opponent's retrace discard cards that they might have, like Raven's Crime, but that's about it. Did not see any Mutavaults yet, so I don't see a reason to include Ghost Quarter quite yet. So I think we just run it back like this. Alright, and hope our opponents can't make us discard Treasure Hunt if we do have it. Well, we do have a Zombie Infestation, so this sounds actually tempting since we can actually just make 2 zombies, but I don't think 2 zombies is gonna get us there. So I think we'll still go down to 6. Gemstone Caverns is tempting, but no action. We'll keep going down. Alright, there's a treasure hunt and a Nephalia Academy, so if they don't make us discard right away, we might be able to do it. So put Island on the bottom and hope for no turn 1 duress. Swamp into... duress, that's unfortunate. So before we're able to deploy Nephalia Academy, her opponent can make us discard treasure hunts. If we were on the play, of course, we would have been able to play out the Academy and duress would not have been able to do it. But alas, this does seem like a pretty difficult matchup, all things told, as our opponent has access to a ton of discard effects. A second duress is gonna miss. Even if it did hit, we could just put it back on top with the Academy. So now we're just gonna play draw go for a while until our opponent can deploy one of their rack effects to make us lose life. I think we'll play out our island here, since we do want access to blue mana at some point. And then we might just keep drawing lands and not playing them. Another Nephalia Academy. I'm not gonna play out here. So let's pause the turn. And hope to find treasure hunts sooner than later. Another Waste Not. But we can only discard lands to give our opponent mana, so our opponent won't be able to make any zombie tokens with those Waste Nots. Radiant Fountain, that's tempting to play out, but I think we still just pass the turn here. So our opponent can have all the duresses they want, but they won't do much here, as we see another one. One thing we do have to consider is that if we do top deck a treasure hunt, like we just did, I think we just play out Radiant Fountain, say go. So maybe I should have played out the Radiant Fountain earlier. Our opponent cycles an Unburden rather than casting it, that's good news. Our opponent duresses us, but we can just put it back on top with our Nephalia Academy. So it's not the end of the world, but our opponent does get to draw 2 cards. Opponent back up to 5. And now we get to play out treasure hunts. And another treasure hunt. I think we just play out Reliquary Tower since we don't want to be discarding all these cards. Did not find Zombie Infestation, but we're happy just to play a Reliquary Tower here. If our opponent makes us discard treasure hunt, we just put it back on top. Trespasser's Curse. Oh no, this might be an issue, as every zombie that enters the battlefield drains 1 life. So we're actually not in the position to make all these zombies at once, so we might have to slow play it a little bit. Alright, let's cast another treasure hunt. And we did find Zombie Infestation, so that's good. So let's play it out. And then we'll have to decide how many zombies to make, but we can wait until the opponent's end step. Trespasser's Curse does complicate things a little bit, especially if our opponent also has a sweeper effect. Wrench Mines, that's fine. So we'll just discard 2 lands here. Opponent gets a whole bunch of mana with the Waste Not. And another Wrench Mind. We'll discard some more lands. So our opponent making a lot of mana here. I wonder if they have a big finisher. Alright, during the opponent's end step, so how many zombies do we want to make? So the most number of zombies we can make here is 12 with the cards in hand. Alright, I think this is where we stop making zombies, since this is a 2-turn clock with our opponent at 27, so let's take a draw step, go to combat, and we don't want to be overextending into a potential sweeper effect. Attack with everyone. Opponent does have a go for the throat, so that does change the math a little bit. Opponent at 15. We can just pause the turn and make the adequate number of zombies end of turn. Walk the plank, kills another zombie. That's fine. Opponent's got 2 cards left in hand. Another walk the plank, 1 card left in hand, they're tapped out. So we can pretty safely make all the zombies we want here. So let's see here, let's quickly do some math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so we're hitting for 14, 15, 16, 17, so we actually can't kill our opponent here in 1 attack, since they'll gain enough life to still stay alive, so we should probably just pause the turn here and do it over 2 turns. So I kind of messed up the math a little bit there, since every zombie we made there basically added 1 damage. So we were not able to make enough to kill our opponent. We actually don't have enough in hand if our opponent has a sweeper to kill our opponent next turn, since we're 1 card short of producing a lethal clock. Looks like our opponent had 1 out, but they did not find it. So somehow managed to beat the discard deck thanks to our Nephalia Academy, putting our treasure hunt back on top. So after our opponent duressed us on turn 1, I thought we were dead, but the deck delivered and gave us treasure hunt right when we needed it. Awesome, so thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day. I also want to thank all my patrons for supporting the channel, and you can do so yourself as well over at patreon.com/LegenVD, where you get cool rewards for supporting the channel, as well as getting us closer to our goals, where with every goal reached, we will release an additional weekly series. So if you want to see more content, Patreon is the place to go.